On this episode, we'll discuss planning an Easter service for your community. Well, hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Church Leadership Lab podcast, the show that is dedicated to inspiring leaders and empowering healthy churches. I'm Kendall Connor, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jess Moore. How are you today, Jess?
Hey, Kendall. I am doing great. Getting ready for the incoming weather this weekend.
Yes. At the time of this recording, we are anticipating a big storm, at least coming up on our coast. We're getting ready, but hopefully by the time this episode is published, all of that will have gone away and everything will be sunny weather from there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just summer. Let's just fast forward to summer.
Yeah,
That would be perfect.
I think so too. That would actually, some spring weather, some warmer weather would go well with our topic for today because we get to talk all about Easter, which I'm super
Yeah.
excited about. We know just how important those Resurrection Sunday services are for all of the churches out there. I don't know. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I know that Christmas is like a big time for the church, but I don't know. Easter is there's just something special about it.
Yeah, it's such a critical holiday, I feel like, in our faith, and such a good reminder every
Yes.
year, right? Because it's usually the truth is boiled down like to such an elementary level because there's a lot of visitors and stuff. And I feel like sometimes we just need to be reminded if we've, been walking with the Lord for our whole lives, it's
Yes.
easy to forget or take for granted. And then also it's just like it feels like a transition into a new, fresh
A new
season.
season.
So like my
Yeah.
soul, my mind, physically, it's wonderful. I love it.
All of the good things. And I mean, we
Mhm.
know that for us as believers and as church leaders, it's so much more than just the Reese's eggs. However, who's going to complain
Yeah,
about a peanut butter egg these days?
listen. Yep.
Well, I'm excited to jump into this conversation. We have an incredible guest, someone who's been with us before.
Mhm.
And so he's brought so much to our conversations in the past. I would highly encourage going back and watching any of the episodes where he's joined us before. Today, we're going to be joined by Ben Stapley. And for anyone who has not connected with him before, let me tell you a little bit about him. Ben has spent over 20 years helping individuals, nonprofits, churches, organizations tell meaningful stories through leadership, communication, creativity. He's been able to craft so many great experiences. And so that's why I know he's going to be great to be able to talk to on this subject today. He's
Mm.
worked as a pastor, speaker, creative director, a media professional, and he regularly consults with churches and speaks at conferences. He's got a BA in video communications. He began his career actually as a television producer, and that's kind of an interesting
Mhm.
part of his story. But he served in key leadership roles in churches across the country, and he really just has so much to bring to this conversation. These days, he serves as the executive pastor at a church in central New Jersey. He's leading staff, he's leading volunteers to really just carry out that mission and vision of the church and really serve their community there. And then just personally, him and his wife Rose, they live there in Jersey with his two daughters. And I'm just so stoked to jump into our conversation today. And I also just want to say, Ben he's joined us on our Healthy Church Summit. I feel like he's kind of
Mhm.
becoming a regular around here. And so I'm excited to hear from him today. Before we jump in, I do want to encourage all of our listeners really quickly to hit that follow button wherever you're enjoying our show. These conversations, they mean so much to us. We love being able to pour into you as church leaders, and we just want to make sure that you don't miss anything that we release.
Mhm.
So without further ado, let's welcome back to the show, Ben Stapley. How are you today, Ben?
I am doing great, Kendall and Jess. Great to see you guys again. Thank you for having me on here as well. And like you guys, I am prepared for this incredible winter storm that we are about to have,
Mhm.
or as people are watching this and listening to it, that we just had. I'm all prepped
Mhm.
for it. I have my 2 shovels by the back door. I have my 2 daughters ready to shovel, so we're all prepped on the Stapley household.
Oh, I feel like that's the hack. That's worth the listen already. That's for any of the parents out there. Just get those
Yeah.
shovels ready for the kids. That's
Yeah.
the that's the key to
We've got one
Snowmageddon.
shovel, 2 kids. I don't know how that's gonna work, but
Yeah,
maybe we'll
they're
just
just gonna
have
have
them
to
draw
take some.
straws.
There you go, or do some rotating. There.
Yeah.
They
Everybody
also
gets a
don't
turn.
They also don't know how big the storm is gonna be, and they don't have any concept how much the work's going to be, so I've already told them, "You
Sure.
have $5 and you will, if you clear the driveway, you'll get $5. And they both are eager for
Mm.
those $5, not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
realizing that's about 3 hours of backbreaking work ahead of
Right.
them. And that's
Yes.
the best ROI I will get all year long, that
Yeah.
$5 for that
I
driveway.
Smart.
I
Way to go,
love
Dad.
this because all of the listeners, once this episode publishes, they're gonna be like, they're either gonna say, "Oh yeah, there was so much snow and ice," or they're gonna say, "Oh, it wasn't that bad."
Yeah. We don't know yet.
Well, Ben, I'm excited to shift to a little bit of a warmer weather as we talk about
Yeah.
Easter. Tell us, we read the public bio, but I'm
Mm.
just curious. Tell us a little something that your family and friends would know about you that maybe isn't in the public bio.
Ooh, I would say one of the things people don't know about me, I'm a Canadian, and I'm friendly and I'm positive, which are all good things, but one of the things I probably don't know until you get to know me well is that I'm also pretty competitive. And so I
Mm,
grew up with 2 brothers. My parents would get, like, a large pizza, a medium pizza, 6 slices, and it wasn't, "You get 2, you get 2, you get 2," which makes sense. It was ever
Mm.
whoever gets to eat the most and the fastest
the
wins.
fastest.
And so I
Wow.
grew up that way, and that's a little bit in my DNA as well, kinda nature and nurture. And so I'll friendly
Mm.
make wagers with staff. Like, I think, I'll bet you a Starbucks run that such and such is right and so is. And so that's an aspect of me, a spirit of competition that will come out with friends
Love
and
that.
family over time.
I
Well,
like
Ben,
that.
I'm more Canadian than you. How about that?
Oh,
How's that for competitive and Canadian?
how are you
I am
more
Canadian,
Canadian?
but I'm not more Canadian. I was just trying to poke at your competitiveness, but I am Canadian. I'm
See,
French
I
Canadian
was trying
from
to gather the
Quebec.
intel first before I put a bet on this. That's what I was doing right there.
Depending on how long you lived there, you may be very much more Canadian. And we
Yes,
moved when I was
yes.
5, but I still claim it. My family's all there. So we try to go at least once a year, if not every other year. But yeah, all of my extended family is still there.
Well, here, let me out you. Let me out myself as well. Give me an out and about.
Oh, yes. See, I only spoke French. So my English
Oh,
is English from America. Yeah.
oh, there you go.
I get
Wow.
asked that all the time. People tease me all the time. I'm like, well, I
That's
only spoke
That's the
French
other
when I
part of
lived
Canada, that's
there.
not me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, this is amazing. Well, Ben, I'm excited to talk about Easter
Yeah,
with you. I mean, I know this is a topic that I think every church discusses, especially as we get closer and we move away from snow and those kind of things, and we start shifting into the spring season. I'm just kind of curious, right out of the gate, why would you say that Easter services give such a unique opportunity for churches to connect with the folks in their
Mm,
community?
yeah, great question. Number of reasons. First of all, it's like it's part of our, whatever denomination you're a part of, it's your probably part of your 2 big services over the course of the year, Christmas and
Yeah.
Easter.
Yeah.
And then in contrast to that, in contrast to Christmas, it's not connected with a lot of the, I'll call it baggage, or
mm,
the other dynamics around Christmas that you need to
Sure.
navigate. There isn't a war on Easter, but you'll hear about that every winter season. Oh, there's a
mhm,
war on Christian as Christmas. As Christians, we need to fight it, which may or may not be true in your context. But you have that. You have other religious holidays that are going on as well. Like it's inappropriate to say Merry Christmas. We need to say Happy Holidays to each other. That
mm,
can be a political minefield that you're trying
mhm,
to navigate with your congregation. Um, and then the other big thing as well, Christmas, in contrast to Easter, is a lot of people are vacationing. The kids are out of the
mm,
school. We're gone
Yeah.
for 2 weeks, and we're not even in the area. So all those things, those unique aspects around Christmas aren't there for Easter.
Wow.
It's all positive. People are around.
yeah.
You got a bunny, you got eggs. There isn't other religious holidays going around at that season. It's not politically contentious. It's just it's a
Mhm,
religious service that people are more inclined to go to because of all those factors. And so for me, I've always experienced whatever my X factor is for Christmas. Like we have a regular attendance, and maybe we'll 2x that for Christmas. Whatever I've experienced in the past, it's more than that. It's a
mm,
2.5 or a 3x for Easter. And I've always enjoyed it more to that end, just being able to cast a wider net,
Wow.
draw in more people with less baggage to experience the claims of the resurrection. And that's the other thing with Easter, is it culminates the story. Like,
mm,
Christmas is great.
Mhm.
I love Christmas. But Easter tells the end of the story and the,
mhm,
the
Yeah.
mhm.
triumph out of the tomb and the resurrection because of it. So it's a nice bookend to get to the end of
Yeah,
the story, which,
the best
and to be
part of the
honest, a lot
story.
of people don't know that aspect of it. You know, they
Mm,
know the baby in the manger, right? They got that
yeah.
story. They've seen that. They see nativities as they're driving around. They don't know that side. So all those reasons, I'm a big, again, I'm not discrediting Christmas. Love Christmas, but I'm a big champion of Easter because of those reasons.
I love that. You brought up so many good points, and just one of my favorite times is, yeah, it is that you aren't. One of my favorite things about it is you aren't competing with so many other things, right? Like people get excited about this, and depending on where you are and what um, location that you live, you may people may already be inclined to making an Easter service or going to church around Easter time a part of their regular schedule in that season, and so
Mhm.
it's a great thing. I'm kinda curious thinking about folks coming to church or thinking about people coming to church around Easter. What is it that brings the first-time guest or maybe even the once or twice a year guest, to church so much at this time frame? What are some ways that churches can even help people who are new feel welcomed when they do show up?
Yeah, great question. When they're on your campus, there's a couple low-hanging fruits here. It's making sure your first impressions or your hospitality teams are on point, they're locked and loaded, ready to go, with people with the biggest smiles are at your front door.
Right.
And the person who's maybe serving on the team, but their face doesn't, kind of sits into a frown. Maybe you're hiding them back a little farther into the service experience. Um, but beyond making sure those people are ready, to vision cast with them and to
Mm.
remember the why and what they're with what
Mm,
they're doing it. This I've made this mistake multiple times. I got the right teams lined up, but I didn't give them the needed vision leading into this. We
yeah.
all know the saying "vision leaks," and so for me, one of
Mm.
the things I'll do, record a short video on my phone where I remind them, "Hey, this weekend's coming up, and
Mm,
what would it look like if a friend or family member who is far from God but close to you showed up? What's the
mm,
Yeah.
experience you would want them to have?" Well, you would want them to find a parking spot quick. You would
yeah.
want someone
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
open the door and say, "Welcome," and genuinely mean it and not look at their phone. You would
Yeah.
want all these things for them. Well, guess what? Those people are showing up. They might not
Yes.
be your friend or family member, but they're someone
Right.
else's.
Right.
Treat them to the same way. And that's one of those quick light bulb moments. You cast that vision. You guys got it right there. It takes 30 seconds, but oftentimes we forget to give that vision cast to our frontline teams, and they're kind of just in the habit of doing the mechanisms of their job without the
Right.
heart
Yes.
behind their job. So, vision cast for those teams. And then as much as possible in your service experience, be super clear and over explain things. It's
Mm,
funny, my wife, she grew up Catholic, and we went to an Ash. I want to go to an Ash Wednesday service to experience
Mm.
this. And she was like, "Great, come along. I'll tell you what's going on." Um, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know when to
sure.
stand, to sit, to kneel, to pray. I was like I was completely lost. And the priest officiating it wasn't throwing me any bones. He wasn't helping me out.
Mm.
And my wife was kind of like, she like elbowed me, sit down now. No, don't do this, don't do that. And she was giving
Mm.
me the play by play. So again, realize those people are in your midst. For
Yes.
you, this is habit. Your liturgy is well known by you. It's well known by your congregation. That influx of 5, 10, 15, 20% of new people have
Yeah.
no idea what you want them to do. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Good call
don't
out.
just finish a worship set and walk off stage. Go, oh, by the way, please be seated. Like
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
those
Mhm.
small touches along the way are super, super important to make people feel aware of what's happening and not embarrassed because they don't know
Right.
your liturgy.
Yes.
Um, and then the last thing I would say
Mm,
is in terms of those people, while you're communicating, there's a lot of things you're going to communicate, kind of your regular announcements, whatever that might be. Whatever that regular rhythm is, make sure to throw into that package what your compassion and community outreach looks like. So if you
mm,
got a soup kitchen, mention that. You got a food pantry, mention that. You did a clothing drive and you got 200 jackets, mention that. The reason being is, frankly speaking, they're not too concerned about your theology class. They're not too
Mm.
concerned about, your marriage
yeah.
mentoring seminar that's going on. But they're really going to be compared about is, do you actually love people? You say
Mm,
you have a loving God and you're loving people. Well, show that to me in action. What does that look like here? And if you can't answer that question for them, they're not going to put the pieces together. That's like the
Yeah.
baseline engagement. Let me know this is a reality and how you're living it out in your community. So that's a thing I always encourage. Over communicate that on a Sunday, and not a slapping yourself in the back, but just
Right.
we truly believe this. God's called us to it,
Yes.
and this is how we live it out. We want to make you aware of it, and also offer you an opportunity to step into it and be a part of it.
That's so
Mm,
good, Ben. I tell you,
yeah.
the thing that I appreciate the most is we just talked through a lot of different ideas. None of them come with a big cost, or
Mm,
maybe, maybe you can maybe even argue they don't come with any cost. They don't. We think of okay, we've got to spend a ton of money to make this great, but right out of the gate, there's several different ways that you can make people to feel at home. You can make them feel welcome. You can make them feel like they're a part of what's going on, and they cost $0 to
Yeah,
implement, right? Getting those smiling people at those front doors, casting vision to the team to remind them, and then taking the time, just a little bit of extra, just to tell people in the service what's going on, why we do
mm,
this. And then I love that you said it showcase the things that are actually happening, the good things that are going on in your ministry that you already know, right? The
mhm,
people who
mhm.
show up every week, they already know that. But yeah, highlighting those things just to let people know like what's going on in your church. It all is those are $0 ideas
yep,
that can make a huge impact, right?
yep, yeah,
I had
yeah,
not heard that.
yeah, keep going, Jess, sorry.
I hadn't heard the idea of sharing like how what does it look like to love people or be like Jesus at our church? What does that look
Mm,
like? Well, this is what this looks like. I hadn't heard that before, and that is so true and so impactful.
gold.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
People come in to say, "What are you going to do for me?" Or "What does it look like to be a part of this? What do you need from me?" Maybe is a better question, right? If I'm going to be here, what are you going to ask of me?
Mm,
So just being able to, above everything else, say, well, this is how we love Jesus. This is what it looks like here. Here's some
yeah.
tangible ways that we've been able to showcase that and showcase him. We invite you to be a part of that. And then beyond that, right, we all know the spiritual journey is eventually you need the volunteers. That also looks like loving kids in
Yeah.
the nursery. That also looks like eventually a marriage ministry, right? But right out of the gate, I think you're absolutely right. What does loving Jesus, loving people like Jesus look like at our church? And it looks like these ministries for right now.
Yeah.
That's great. Love it.
Nice.
Well, I know that music is a big part of the worship experience, right? It's probably something that so many folks are going to be thinking about in their planning, getting the exact right song, getting all of
Mhm.
these things. How would you say that churches can use music, can use that time of worship to kind of set the tone for their Easter services? Is it a big deal to have the exact right song? What would be your recommendation for that?
Oh, I can tell you all the mistakes I've made, over the years, I pay the dumb tax, don't pay it yourself. The one big miss is trying to introduce something new. It's like, "Oh, this is a great
Mm,
song, it's charting right now, it's super hot." Cool, nobody's gonna know it. No one's gonna sing along with it. And so this is, like, really similar to Christmas. I always say play the hits.
mm,
When
Mm,
an aging band tours, what do you we don't wanna hear their new album, you wanna hear the hits. When you come to
so
yeah,
true.
Christmas, you wanna hear the carols. Now, what are the hits? Easter, it's different. So what I mean by that, play the hits, play the song, lead the congregation in songs that you know get a huge response. And
yeah,
this is whatever your
Mm,
style, this um, not predicated upon styles. You're a hymn church, same thing applies. You're a full rock band church, you're somewhere in the middle, same thing
yeah,
applies. Pick out the songs that your congregation, your regular congregation, loves to sing, and they're going to tear the roof off vocally in that auditorium. The reason why
mm,
is because people are going to sit around and go, "Wow, I'm new. Uh, I'm not sure I believe this yet, or I know I don't believe this yet." But they
yeah,
really do. That guy
yeah,
mm,
really does. The woman behind me, off key, really does as well,
mm,
and it's and she's off key, but she's really into it. And
yeah,
this is like, are you gonna get me preaching here? There's something, very attractional to that, something that you cannot deny. When you see someone who believes in something, I may disagree with what you believe in, but I don't disagree in your belief. It's
mm,
mm,
clear you really mean this and
yeah,
believe this, and you as a congregation get a chance to showcase that when you sing the songs that we really believe there's a guy named Jesus and he rose from the dead, and we're gonna sing it out. And there's something compelling to that, to somebody on
mm.
the outside looking in and going, "Huh,
that's good.
huh,
It's
you really believe
heavenly.
this." Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
glimpse
yeah,
into heaven. Of course. I love that.
yeah. And, like, yeah, a glimpse into heaven. Oh, yeah, like, Jess, I love that. It's like not only not only do you guys believe this now, like, for someone who's connecting the dots, like, this is the vibe. This is what eternity is gonna look like. Like, this
Yeah.
this raucous, this like, these people committed to this, like,
Yeah.
huh. That afterlife is kinda compelling.
Yeah.
If it
Mhm.
looks like if this is a foretaste of this, if this is a sampling, a heaven
Yeah.
Mhm.
sampling,
Yeah.
um, I'm a little more intrigued, and I'm gonna lean
Yeah.
in a little more into the rest of the
That's
service.
good.
Um, and then, I know we are talking offline about this, Kendall, so it's always like, "Hey, like, do you sometimes, maybe do a secular song to welcome people in, to invite them in?" I
Yeah.
think that has its place, in Christendom, in a service, sometime in your planning of the services over the course of the year. I wouldn't personally be a fan of it for Easter, and the reason being is, it's funny, I had a friend of mine say this, once. He was a non-religious person, and he went to another church, and he said, "I went there, and they were doing a Coldplay cover." And he's like, "I didn't understand why." He said, "I don't understand why." And then no one connected the dots, but
Yeah.
I knew what was the church was trying to say, "We're trying to make you comfortable." And he said,
Right.
I came in for a religious experience. I came in
Mm.
Mm.
for a religious service, and you served me up pop culture." He's like, "That's
Wow.
if I want pop culture, I got
Yeah.
plenty of
Sure.
pop culture." And
Sure.
so people who are coming on your Easter service are looking for something, an encounter. They're looking
Yeah.
for or they're at least expecting a religious service. Serve them that up. That's what they want. Um, you I wouldn't feel the need to placate them and to give them all these breadcrumbs that lead towards Christ, not present them
Yeah.
out of the gate. That's what they're expecting. Meet their
Yeah.
expectations.
That's great.
I like
Love
that.
that
That's
so
that's good
much.
wisdom. Yeah, that's really good wisdom. I know that, I was joking with some pastor friends here recently, and they were saying the funny thing about when you're planning your message or your sermon around something like Easter or Christmas or times like that, like you kind of, it can be easy to feel like, oh, this is just the same message over and over. I'm just kind of curious, there's familiar
Uh-huh.
Easter themes, there's
Uh-huh.
expectations. What's your advice for those pastors out there that are kind of figuring out, how do I make this fresh, or make
Mm.
it clear?
Yes, teaching pastors, I feel your pain, right? I've done this for 10 years, 20 years. I've done this for 3 decades. This is the narrative doesn't change. Yes, if you are in the tension of trying to keep things fresh, some easy ways to do that, first of all, would be to incorporate some stories. So, like, it's,
Mm,
you're obviously telling the grand story in the narrative, but some
sure.
individual stories that reflect that. So it's like, if you have a testimony that you can bring in there, it's nice to kinda do a
Yeah.
video, something high production and polished. That's helpful. Even if you don't have the money or the time to pull that off, invite somebody onto the stage to share their
Mm.
story. Do it interview style. There's multiple ways to handle this, but it's like,
Yeah.
hey, this is true, and it's true in John's life. John become a he started attending a year ago. Bring John up and have John or Jane share their stories. A super
Yeah.
easy way to keep it fresh
Yeah.
for you, for the congregate, for the people hearing it. Again, it helps put skin on it for those skeptics who are sitting in your rows looking at it.
It's
They
good.
say, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's somebody who their life changed, maybe my
Yeah.
life can change as well."
Mhm.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
that's an easy way to do it. Another easy way for I'm a big fan of is baptisms,
Mm,
on a Easter. You could do it in terms of spontaneous, you could have them planned, you could do, like, I've seen some churches do, we do a devotional, and then it's like 20 baptisms.
wow.
Um, Even if it's just one, again, you can pull in that story of life change. It makes it very
Mm.
visual for somebody sitting there saying, "Oh, this is what the death to
Yes.
life experience looks like. They were
Right.
once dead and now they're alive." They're connecting
It's
some
great.
dots. It's visceral, it's visual, it's memorable, and so they walk away
Mhm.
with it. So those are some of the ways that I would do it. I know we talked a little bit about this as well at one point, but in terms of the message itself, I would encourage teaching pastors to not just think about it as the Easter story or a salvation message, but think about how they're leveraging it towards a series that's going for the,
Mm,
the rest of the spring season afterwards. The reason being is
yeah.
people are coming, and they're sitting there and they're hearing this great message. If you just have an Easter message, like, "Hey, this great Easter message, come on back for our X, Y, and Z series next week." Well, like,
Yeah.
their buy-in to that is gonna be what you give
Right.
them, and it's gonna be like a 1 to
Yeah.
2 sentence sales pitch on that. But if you launch Easter with a new series, especially a felt need series,
Mm.
then people can experience this and say, "Hey, I kinda liked what I heard now, if they're doing that over the next 4 or 5 weeks, then you know what? I'm a little more compelled to check that out for the
Yeah.
rest of the time instead of just being hearing a line as I'm walking out the door about what
Mm,
that series is. So consider launching a new series on Easter, not just having it Easter themed.
I
that's
like
good.
that too. We've experimented with different things like that in different seasons of our church. Sometimes we've done a series that led up to Easter, and so it concluded on Easter. And then we've tried this what you're recommending, where you start something new on Easter, and so like people are inclined, they understand a series because they think like, okay, well, binge Netflix or I watch all
Mhm.
these different places. They get the
Yep.
idea of like,
Yep.
I want to finish this. If I started
Yep.
it,
Mm,
I want to see what the rest of this thing is going to look like. And so I like that idea a lot, Ben.
Yeah.
I know that Easter is a time where families, especially, like families that have children or they have teens, that's a time where they're more likely to come to church. I'm just kind of curious, any creative or thoughtful ways that you can think the church can engage families that have these children or these teens during this time?
Yeah, so first of all, spoilers, I'm not a kids pastor, or a family so, take this with a lot of grains of salt. But one of the things I've been fascinated by, and I've been watching this for about a decade now, because somebody told me, about a decade ago, somebody told me they came to our church for an Easter service the first time, and they brought their kids, and they had no idea there was a kid experience for them. They just thought like
Mm,
everybody walked into the main auditorium, and like
yeah,
even though we have a big kid sign and people were kind of pointing the
mm,
yeah,
arrows and doing one of those, and but then understandably they came in and they just had blinders on, like where's my seat? Whenever
right.
someone
mm,
walks into a new building, they want to know where their seat is and where their seat is. They want to know where their seat is, where's the auditorium, and where their other seat is, where's the bathroom. They wanna know where their 2 seats are. And so they came in with blinders and like, there's my seat, I need to go to the auditorium." And so they brought their kids in, and then, like, they're later on, they're like, "Oh, you got a thing for kids? We had no
Mm,
idea." So, I've
mm,
watched for that, and we actually have our teams, like, kinda pick up on that, and we see families with young kids walking into our auditorium. We say,
yeah,
"Hey, by the way, we have a kids thing over there," and then we have to redirect them. That's the first thing. And then even realizing that some parents are like, "I don't know where my kid's going. I don't trust your workers. I don't know the background
sure,
checks you've done. They're sitting with me." And I've always seen a large influx of kids and students in our Easter services, I think because of that. And so, I've been a big
interesting.
fan of trying to approach the Easter message, not just with adults, but realizing you have a higher influx
wow,
of, kids and students in the room,
it's
is the
good.
first thing I'd say. And then the other thing I'd say is a big win as people are going into the season is to do the classic Easter egg hunt. Everybody else is doing it. You get ahead of the curve far enough so you're not doing it the weekend before, but maybe a couple weekends before. You use that as a lead magnet, as a way to draw in people and then push them towards your Easter services. So if your
Yeah.
church isn't doing that already, I think for the kid factor, that's a great way to attract new families, young families, kids, and students towards your not just the event itself, but the following event in a number of weeks.
That's really good. And, I want to touch on a couple things that you've said, Ben. Number one, it does make so much more sense that, yeah, as you're inviting new families, new guests, people are coming for the first time or first time in a long time. Yeah, they may not, number one, know about that kid ministry or know all
Mhm,
of the just how amazing it is, like you and your staff do. But then there's also people who, yeah, they may not trust to go back there. Something that I've done on a weekly basis, so not just Easter, is I try to include some helpful things like that, some tips on our pre-roll slides. So if they're
Hmm.
sitting there, they come and they find their seat. I'll have a slide that rolls each week that says like, we have an amazing kids ministry that meets right now while you're enjoying the adult worship gathering, right? And
Yep.
smart.
so so you have that, and then I love that you said that kindly approaching because you don't know what the situation is,
Mhm.
and just recommending like, hey, just so you know, we have an amazing kids ministry in the back that they're free to go to right now. But it is that choice, right? Like,
Right,
Yeah.
right,
it's
right.
just a helpful suggestion, not a, hey, you need to get these kids out of here type
Yeah,
situation,
yeah.
right?
It looks like we got a couple screamers in this family. Could you please not come in? Pastor doesn't like that. Yeah, that's
As
not a
the
good
child is,
approach.
like, visibly throwing a fit, you're like, there's a kids ministry, right? Get 'em outta
So
here."
funny. So funny.
No.
The
Go ahead, Ben.
Well, it's funny. You were asking earlier on, like, how do you make a great guest experience? And we're kind of touching on one of the tensions right now. Is there's a lot of new people who have no idea where
Mm,
to go, and I always
Yes.
like to use the saying is, if Home Depot can walk you instead of point you, we should do this as well. What I mean by
Mm,
that is, if you ever
absolutely.
gone to a Home Depot, and I've talked to managers on this, it's part of their ethos. We don't point you to aisle 33. We walk you to 33, and you
that's
Mhm.
literally
good.
have to say like, "I'm good," or like you have to run from us because our job is to walk you there. We won't point you there.
Mm,
And again, if they can, oh gosh, if they can point you to a piece of lumber, sorry, if they can walk you to a piece of
mhm,
lumber, can't we walk them towards
mm,
the kids ministry? Can't we walk them
Yes.
towards their where the auditorium is? Can't we walk them towards Jesus instead of just
mm.
pointing and saying, "He's over there. I hope you find him. Best of
So
luck,
Yeah.
aisle
good.
33."
That's it.
Um,
Mm,
so because of that, you're gonna need more people on your teams because they'll
Yes.
be leaving their positions, which is a good thing, right?
Yes.
"Oh,
right.
Frank left the door. Why'd Frank leave?" Because he's walking somebody to where they need to go. That's a good thing, but staff accordingly.
Yeah,
That
that's so
is
smart. Good.
yes, I love that. You wanna have some extra people around. So, "Hey, could you, step at the door for me for a second while I take this gas?" I love that. That's so good. Well, I'm thinking about, like, beyond just the service, so beyond the music, beyond the message, I know that a lot of times churches will do little special elements. I've seen like photo booths and extra things in the lobby. Maybe like I think one Easter we served lemonade or sweet tea or something like that. Little fun touches just to create like some atmosphere or fun things to do. Do you see anything like this? Have you tried anything like that at your church, Ben?
Yeah, the photo booths are a great idea. It's one of those value adds for people where
Mm,
like we're all dressed up. And so like
yeah.
yeah, because of that, we have a real easy display where you can take a photo. This is the only time
The
the whole
moms love
family's
it,
yes.
says the
Jimmy
mom. Love
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Jimmy's finally in that bow tie I buyed him. Like
Right.
it's pink, it
Or
looks
do you know
great.
how
Like
hard we fought to be here dressed like this? Take a
Yeah.
picture. It's great.
That's right.
I love it.
now, when you do it, make sure you have multiples. So, like, the worst thing is, like, waiting in
Mm,
line for 30 minutes for that experience. So, give your people multiple places to do that.
yes.
Um, um, I'm a big kinda tactile guy, and one of the things I like when appropriate is, is there something that I can hold upon or leave with? And there's, like, the classic stuff, um, this is more kinda Good Friday-ish, but, like, the big railroad spike, like, "Hey, did you know that this would"
Mm,
and, like, put it on your dresser. Remember, the pain, the cost for your gain.
mm,
Wow.
Whatever those tactile things are, people can leave with and remember and put on a shelf or put in a rearview mirror, whatever it might be, like a post-it note type of
Yeah.
thing. Those things are helpful. And then I'm also a big fan of experiential things as well. What I mean by that is, when is a time that you can kind of get people up into experience things and experiment with things. That's really difficult with Easter because you got more people in the room and it's like
Yeah.
herding cats at that point. But if you have something that tethers towards your message, that's helpful. As an example, we did this in my context a couple years ago. We had a series. It's called Doors, and we were encouraging people to walk through a door into a new chapter in their life. And obviously, the newest and the biggest chapter that they're going to walk through, the biggest door, is salvation.
mm,
And then we
Yeah.
just had that door on stage afterwards. And it was an aside when the lead pastor communicated it. He said, "Hey, he's finishing up. He said, "Hey, sometimes it helps us to do something physical
Mm.
to concrete the spiritual, and it
Mm.
helps us
mm,
memorialize it and remember it better." And we got the silly door on stage. And if you've made a decision to walk through a door today, and there's a series of doors that you talk through, and it helps you to like remember it, feel free to jump on stage and walk through it afterwards. The lights will be dim, and people started walking, and even before he finished
Mm.
his
So
statement,
powerful.
people were walking towards the stage. They're like, "I gotta do something experiential to
cool.
cement and to remember this spiritual experience that I had today."
Mm,
I
that's
love
great.
I love that. Yeah, and I love the idea of the tactile things because even I think of Palm Sunday, like it's been a tradition for a long time. We've given a piece of palm that people walk out with, and that palm leaf just it sticks with people. It's just something you can hold in your hand. It's a good thing. So
Now
well,
let me pause you there just before you move on, because we were, like, just wrestling this through, like, a week ago, in our context, and because we give out palms, but what they're used for, it's just like the teenage boys just whip each other with it. That's all that happens. That's all that happens. It's
Also
like the
symbolic.
Yes, it's yeah,
Oh,
Jesus bore our sins, and, it's supposed to
oh
be
Yeah.
my
like,
goodness.
it's like, that's not working, and the parents are just trying to referee their kids, right? "Stop hitting Jacob with that." Um,
Oh,
and so we said,
yeah.
"Okay, okay, we're gonna keep it, but we will at some point," the host is gonna say, "Hey, you were handed one of these things," and like, "Hey," people raise these, and, they raise these and to honor Jesus as he was coming in.
Yeah.
And if you believe that, we're just gonna close your eyes, just lift up, and we're planning to make it experiential for them instead of just we're giving up this palm for kind of no reason or just to be left on
Mm.
the ground or to be
Yeah.
used as an instrument of pain and suffering for your sibling. Like, no, we're gonna think through a 30-second experience where you
Yeah.
raise this up and you declare, Hosanna in the highest.
Oh, I
Blessed
love
is
that.
he who comes in the name
Yeah.
of the Lord. Now that's gonna be meaningful.
Yeah.
If you have those things that you do in your context, just make
Yeah.
sure they're meaningful instead of just
Mm.
we do it because we do it.
Mm.
No, that's a great reminder. I love that, and it's creating those experiences that are memorable, and I always love to take things from the aspect of like, okay, let's give them something they can't get anywhere else. So,
Mm,
like when you do those spiritual elements, those meaningful things, like you can't get that, at the store or at the mall or anywhere else in this season. Like it's something that you get from church, from a spiritual place. So I love those things. And I'm just kind of thinking through all the different things. I know with so many different elements that make up an Easter service, all the things that go into celebrating the resurrection with your community, churches may feel overwhelmed. Leaders may feel overwhelmed by the planning. And I'm just kind of
mm.
curious, Ben, do you have any encouragement, any practical steps that you'd offer these leaders today?
Yes, first of all, good news. We'll do good news then bad news. Good news is you still have time. Bad news
Mm.
is you have less time. So
Yeah.
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 So early.
next year, this conversation is dropping end of January. Well, we still got a number of months,
Mhm.
February, March, 2 full months of planning and prep, which is great.
Yes.
But next year,
Yeah.
give yourself another month. The week after
Mm.
Christmas
Mm,
ends, as you're coming on back, force yourself to say, "Okay, Christmas is done. What about Easter?" Get
Mhm.
yeah.
into that rhythm of the first week back, and you'll be in a much better place. Literally, you'll have 33% more time to dedicate towards this, probably the biggest service of your year. Most people are sucking wind after Christmas and don't even think about Easter until a couple of weeks out, and then it's usually too little too late. So, good
Mm.
news, you
Yes.
have 2 months. Even gooder news, better news is next year you can have 3 months if you get
Mhm.
ahead of it. And then also I think it's really helpful for a lot of churches, the starting point is hard because they don't know who's driving the ship. And what I always like to say is, where is the direction? Where's the creative vision? Where are the
Mm,
ideas coming from in terms of the
sure.
service? And both are fine, but it needs to be clear. Is it top down, the lead pastor saying, "This is what I want to do. This is a theme. This is the vibe. This is the vision. This is the look and the feel," or is it bottom up, like the team that he has around him, the worship pastor, a graphic designer, some volunteers who
Yeah.
have some creative sense to what's going on, and they're pitching the lead pastor ideas. Both work, um, but
Sure.
both work on their own, both, but they
Mm.
don't both work together. And so, whatever your context is, just make sure it's really clear who's driving that, and then everyone can play nice together. But I've seen it not work in a couple of ways. I've seen it not work when nobody's driving the ship, and I've seen
Yeah.
it not work
Yeah.
where it's not clear who's got their hand on the wheel. So just be clear about that as you jump into it. Uh, invite in as
Good
many people
wisdom.
into the brainstorming process as possible. So if you're a lead pastor listening in, if you're a worship pastor or creative person listening in, don't just be the only person with ideas. Invite more
Mm.
people around the table to throw their ideas at you, especially if you've been doing Easter for decades and you feel completely
Mm.
dry, you have nothing to add to the table.
Mm,
Uh, and then the last thing I'd give for as encouragement and good news is make sure that you hit the 3 Ps that
mm.
you plan. You're doing that now. We're gonna promote, but don't forget to pray. And I always usually forget that
Mm.
one at the end of the day. Or maybe it's like it's Easter Sunday and it's 5 minutes before the service, and you're like, "Hey, everyone gather around. We gotta pray. We forgot to pray."
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
don't be that guy. Don't be that girl where you're
Yeah.
you're, you know, injecting prayer into the last end of it. Hit
Mm.
all 3 of those Ps to plan,
Yeah.
promote, and pray aggressively as you're going
Mm.
towards the season. And if you do that, realize God is pleased with your efforts and He's gonna bless your efforts. It's not on you and your shoulders, that He's gonna do something supernatural through you as you move towards this big holiday.
Mm.
That is really good, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, one year I may, make a goal to try to even start getting at least a idea, one small idea of what Easter's gonna look like before Christmas. Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be a good challenge for 2026. I don't know,
We
can
can
we
do
pull it
this. I
off?
believe in you, Kendall. I believe in you.
Mhm, mhm.
Well, I'm just kinda curious, like, we've talked through a lot of different ideas. Is there anything we've missed? Is there any other wisdom that you'd offer to these leaders today about planning their Easter, their Resurrection Sunday services?
Yeah, the last one is, as we're landing the plane here, is to, foster an invite culture. What I
That's
mean by
good.
that is this is kinda like on the back 9 of my ministries. There's one thing I'm looking to help foster in my context and other churches foster in their context is an invite culture. And so,
Mhm.
what I mean by that is, like, we have an expectation that your life is being changed and you want to see other people's lives being changed. And so we're going to communicate this. We're going to empower you towards this. We're going to tell stories about this. We as leaders are going to lead the way and do this, and to create this culture of inviting people. Again, like this
Yeah.
is a no brainer, but we're here to make disciples. And so
Yes.
oftentimes I see churches, myself included, miss the boat of leading towards Easter, where they're communicating attendance, not invitation. What I mean by that, if you're talking to your congregation, assume attendance. These people are here. They're going to come out to Easter.
Yeah.
Assume that.
Right,
Don't waste
Yeah.
your airtime
right.
on that. Say, hey, Easter's coming. Hey, by the way, who are you going to invite? Have all your
Yeah.
communication focused towards that. As a communicator, share that myself. I'm inviting my neighbor to join me. We as a
Yeah.
staff, we'll do this every time leading into a big holiday. Who are you planning on inviting? We'll write it down on a board. We'll pray for each other, and then we'll follow up. Were
Mhm.
you bold? Did you invite them? And then what did they say? Did they say yes or did they say no? And for us in our context, we say we're looking for you to take that step. God's going to do what God's going to do. They may respond or they may not.
Right,
That's not on
right.
your shoulders. Take
That's
that
right.
weight off your shoulders. Leave it on the
Mhm.
Holy Spirit. That's what it belongs on. But the responsibility to ask is yours.
Right.
So
Yes.
did you do that? We are very clear with that expectation with our staff. We're now cascading it down to our volunteers, and hopefully that'll just permeate the whole congregation, where everyone starts
Mm,
talking that way and expecting that way. So if there's like one last nugget, is foster that invitation. It takes a while,
It's good.
but start
mm.
moving your people there
You got
towards
2
we're
months.
people that invite people.
Love it.
Good wisdom. Ben, something that we talk about a lot on this podcast is healthy churches, and I'm just kind of curious to hear from your perspective. What is an essential component of a healthy church, or maybe a healthy Easter?
Well, other than your involvement at my church, Kendall, that would be my first one. But if I was forced to choose 2 other ones, whenever I'm visiting another church, the 2 things I'm looking for is I'm looking for movement. I'm looking for money going out and people coming in. Money
Mm,
going out, how are we, supporting, loving, caring for our community in very tangible financial ways? So again, it's that food
Mm,
pantry, it's that soup kitchen, it's that
yes.
coat drive. How is
mm,
money going out? And then also, how are people coming in? So, are there
mm.
new people in our midst?
It's good.
Do we have a spirit of invitation and an expectation that people are gonna be in our midst? So, if you have those 2 things, money going out, people coming in, I think those are some good, healthy markers that at least I personally look for in a church.
I love that because, as you shared in the very beginning, just highlighting how we're making a difference here, how we're changing the
Yeah.
world, how God's moving here, and don't you want to be a part of it? Invite your friends to be a part of something big that's happening. I love that, Ben. That's really good. Well, as we kind of wrap up, I know that we'll want to do our final five. Are you up for the challenge, Ben, to go through these final five
Ooh,
rapid fire questions?
I have a competitive streak in me, so come on, Kendall, bring it. Jess, what does he got? Let's see this.
All right, let's do it. What is one book on this subject or similar you'd recommend to church leaders? So, Easter's a unique one, but I think in general,
Mm,
right? So, maybe the invite
yeah.
culture piece, you've spoken to a lot of different aspects of leadership because that's what's required to put together an event this large, but maybe pick one book.
We as a staff right now are going through the 4 is it 4 levels? The 4 disciplines. Ooh, put me on the spot.
Mhm,
4
mhm,
disciplines of execution, and
Okay.
I'm not gonna get into what they are, but it's just basically how is you as an organization, a nonprofit, a church, an individual, what does it mean for you to execute, and what are the disciplines that you need to hold yourself to accountable to actually accomplish that? So that's, like, moving into Easter, like, We
Yeah.
wanna grow our attendance by 2x. Well, great.
Wow.
What are the disciplines that are gonna help us execute
That's
that?
good.
And then,
That
how
is
do you take
good.
those disciplines and apply them to everything else that you want in
Alright,
your life?
I
Mm.
gotta look this one up.
It's
Okay.
good.
Okay, so what's the last thing you've listened to on Spotify or Apple Music?
Oh, my kids are gonna bust me on this one. I love the song right now. This does not sound like a song that a, mid-40-year-old man may be enjoying right now, but I
I'm
but I
so
love it.
excited.
Um,
Bring it.
it's "Golden" by K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't know
Oh,
if you know any of those
yes.
words that just came out of my mouth, but it's been
Yes.
popular for about 6 months right now, and
I wasn't expecting that, Ben. I'm not gonna lie to
No,
you,
I
but
wasn't either. I
go
love when
you.
people answer this question like this
Honestly.
because I feel like it gives you a
Yeah.
little peek into their soul. I love
I'm
it.
listening to it
Yes.
internally right now, and I'm already jamming. You guys got me jamming. It's good.
I
It's
don't
good.
I don't
That's
know what
Very
any
awesome.
of them
catchy.
are called, but I know they're real catchy. So,
Yes.
yes, I'm
And
probably
positive. They're just
singing it
really, really
too, maybe.
positive.
They are, yeah, yeah. Okay, what is your favorite piece of technology or software right now?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of teleprompters, and so, again,
Mm,
I'm coming out of this recording our online hosting for our exclusively online service, and I cannot memorize, 5 minutes
yeah.
of content well,
Mm,
and so I'm a big cheater where I'll write it out, and then I'll look at it, and I'll say it convincingly as well, and my eyes aren't kinda doing one of these things where I'm looking back and
right, right,
forth, so,
right.
yeah, teleprompters are super helpful if you do any type of on-camera work.
Oh,
That's
I
awesome.
gotta know, are you like a bullet point kinda guy, or you like to do the manuscript? Like, what's your go-to
I'm
move on
verbatim
that?
now because
Yeah, wow.
with bullet points, I rabbit trail like I am in this conversation, and you told me, like, this is supposed to be half an hour, and I know we're way past that, and so, like, if I bullet point, that's what happens, I'm sorry.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Kendall keeps telling me he's gonna get me a teleprompter, but he still hasn't yet, so
It's
one
helpful.
of these days.
Making it work.
Okay, what is a quote or some advice that has stuck with you over the years?
I remember this early into my years of ministry. This is especially if you're a fellow, vocational worker, if you work full time in a church. Somebody told me to protect the bride and protect my bride. And it's like, oh, that's nice. So protect the bride of Christ. So your
Right.
job is doing that, but also protect your bride. Obviously, you
Mm,
can substitute this if you're a guy or a girl and put it in your
mhm,
spouses in
Right.
mhm.
there.
Yeah.
But the idea
It's
that I'm going
good.
to come home and I've experienced some frustrations at work, which are normal, but I shouldn't dump them all on my spouse's laps. If
Mm,
I do, it might compromise their ability to worship well in my
Mm,
environment that I'm working at. And so just be
wow.
aware of that. Protect the bride, protect your bride.
that's
Good wisdom.
really good, especially for our listeners. Okay, what's one thing you'd like to communicate to our audience of church leaders?
Ooh, this one is something where I heard this saying years ago, and I always thought it was false because people would use it in a very fake way, but they would say, the best is yet to come.
Mhm.
It's like they're looking at this huge snowstorm in front of us. The best is yet to come. um, or the Titanic sinking. The best is yet to come. And I'd always liked made me kind of vomit internally. I was like, ugh, like that just it feels so fake. But I heard a friend use it, and I was like, that's such a fake statement. And he's like, no, it's not. I said, why is it? And he said, because Jesus is with us. And he just started going on and started preaching at me. And I was like, you know what? Like, if you come at it from that perspective, then
Sure.
that's a true
Mm,
statement. Then, like, whatever we face, the hardships in life, the difficulties in front of us, even a winter storm, truly the best is yet to come because
Yeah.
Jesus is with us on
mm.
the journey. So that's my statement. But the caveat is don't say it just because it's a false, shiny statement. Say it
Sure.
because you
Right.
actually believe it.
Not in the cheesy way, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. That's so true. Love it.
And that's really good, Ben. This has been an amazing conversation. I feel like I've got plenty of notes. I've got a lot of things that I've learned from this and taken away from it. I know our listeners feel the same way. They're going to want to hear more. Where can they learn more? Where can they follow you and stay connected with you,
I
Ben?
am on the social media sites at Ben Stapley. You can follow my blog at benstapley.com/blog. And you might even watch me jamming out to Golden if you see me sometime. I won't be doing a
Love it.
dance to TikTok on that,
I was
but
going to say
again,
that's worth the follow right there. Well, that's That's awesome.
clickbait content right there for you.
Oh, well, for all of our listeners, we'll be sure to link all of those up so it's super easy to get to. And I know that you'll want to follow them and hear more because this has just been so useful. And I can tell you already, for all of you listeners out there, we're praying for you. We're praying that this
Mm,
will be your most impactful Easter yet at your church. And we're just believing with you that God is going to do an incredible work in your community. Thank you so much, Ben, for talking with us today. Jess, thank you for being on here. All of our listeners out there, if this has encouraged you like it's encouraged me, would you consider sharing it with a friend, sharing it with someone who's serving in ministry that could use a few extra tips as they go into this Easter planning season? And if it has been valuable to you, leave a review for us. We love reading those reviews over on Apple Podcasts, the comments over on Spotify and YouTube. Wherever you're enjoying the show, be sure to just leave us a little love there and let us know if this has been beneficial to you. That it
mm.
keeps us encouraged to keep equipping leaders just like you. Again, follow us. We want to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. Until next time, keep leading well. Have a great Easter planning season as you get ready for this big moment. We'll see you right back here next week on Church Leadership Lab.
This episode of the Church Leadership Lab podcast is brought to you by Ministry Brands, the largest provider of church technology software. Over 90,000 churches rely on Ministry Brands for their single platform solution that brings together all the digital tools a church needs. From online giving to websites to church management software and more, Ministry Brands is leading the way in simple to use, innovative solutions, all with the goal of empowering healthy churches. To learn more, visit ministrybrands.com.